Well, welcome. It's a small group today, so we will have some time for discussion, because I did realize when I started sort of peeling back the layers of this onion, I went, you know, maybe next time I'm not going to drop 4 or 5 tools into the same 1-hour time block. So kind of what we'll do today, what I'm taking a look at here is, you know, again, since we're a smaller group, ask questions. We can dip down into particulars. I kind of like a little bit of a free-flowing format as we go into that. And sort of what we're going to kind of do today is we are going to explore these 4 tools. I did have one other tool that was listed in there called IntelliGboard, but after diving down to that, it's a little bit more of an analytical tool, not necessarily something that's going to serve us so much in class and would have to sort of be integrated into various LMSs and stuff. So it really wasn't going to be a tool that would serve us. We're going to get some of those analytics that will be built into our new LMS. So we're going to take a look at Perusall, Padlet, Hypothes.is, and Flipgrid. And some of these tools, depending on how you're thinking about implementing them, one of them may work one of them is going to work better for you, depending on what sort of things are tied to your particular course. And that's one of the things to think about when looking at these. You don't want to bring every possible tool in the world into your class anyway, because it just blows up your students' heads if they have to go to too many places. Oh, there's Emily. Welcome, Emily. If they have to go to too many places to either find assignments, find information, follow your links, all that good stuff. Now it's like Christmas. Here comes everybody. There it is. Oh, wait a couple seconds. Does everybody? Oh, wait. Emily's got it. Sounds like you have a child. There.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Come on in. So essentially, we will look at, you know, what some of these tools may offer. And then again, since we're just going to sort of scratch the surface on some of these, I am also going to open up, like, you know, hey, if you want to bring one of these into your course, that would be also helpful for me to take a deep dive, because a lot of these require like students to sign up and thing. And coming up with, you know, 15 imaginary students can be difficult, or 20 imaginary students to sort of get into some of the full functions of what some of these tools can do. Some of them will integrate into LMSs. And so we'll look at that. And then as we dive into our new LMS, some of these features will also sort of fall into that tool as well. So we'll get started. And that's pretty much, again, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat box, but sometimes when I share my screen or whatever, that can be a little hard to see. So if you have any questions or whatever, don't hesitate to just jump in on your mic and come on and ask away. All right, so far so good. The first one is called Perusall. And the way I kind of look at this one, it's sort of like a little mini LMS to a certain degree. And it does, and you'll sort of get the feel for it as you get it. You'll sign up for it, and you'll have to have each of your students sign up if they're going to participate in it. And one of the really nice features and sort of thing, I brought this in, a lot of times we will hear, you know, faculty said, oh, I don't know if they're doing the reading. It's hard to track as they do the reading. This tool could help you do that by sort of creating the reading or PDFs or something like that as reading assignments. And essentially, you'll be able to sort of, you know, create your courses here and have, you know, your students would sign directly into, you know, Perusall.com, and that's where they'd sort of see this. And I've got sort of a little test course set up here. And as you can see by, you know, looking down here on the left, you can see that it pretty much looks like a LMS. And when we get a course started, here's essentially what you would do. After you sign up and create your account, you would create a course, or create a course tied to, you know, match your course name. And your students would sign in by using the registration code and sort of getting into the meeting. And then what you can do here, which is kind of the piece of this that might be helpful as a tool in your course, is that you can actually create a library for your readings. Now, if you bought your book from Perusall.com, and I guess that's the hook on this particular one, there's always a thing a lot of times. I think this is the particular thing for that, is that, you know, if you bought your book for here, you could assign pieces of that book or section of that book that students would be able to view and comment through this interface. But you can see here, all these other choices that you have are things that you can assign here without any additional cost or without your students having to buy the book through Perusall. But as you can see here, I've sort of entered in some sample library options and sort of have turned them into assignments. So essentially you can create each of those library aspects and make it assignment. As you can see here, you can get an analytics of what the students have read or how much time they participated in it. Here I sort of made one with a video. And you can see here, I got to see that there was sort of 9 minutes spent on this. This is one I started to play with, and I can sort of open this up so you can see what that looks like as an assignment. And here you can see with each of these points down here, this is going to be the points in the video where students have made comments. So that, you know, I grabbed the CETO video for this example, but this could be sort of any YouTube video that you wanted to bring in here, and then students could, you could ask questions around that from yourself, and then students can also make comments on there as well. So it allows that timeline. This would be sort of a great way if you sort of created your classroom content and so forth for students to view those video. I did try to stick a Zoom video in here. It didn't fly. I was like, oh, let's see if I get that Zoom cloud. Nope, that kind of broke it. So the other thing is you can bring in there is like, you know, just tools here. You know, again, students can, you know, they would read through the material. They can, you could see anything that's highlighted in yellows from students. Blue is yours. This is where, you know, you could see how much they're following through there. And then you're allowed, you know, students could comment on each other's material and that sort of. So it was like, you know, one of those things is kind of a way to sort of check and see if students are reading material, if they're understanding material. They can post questions in here. And even on their account, students can even use, create, you know, take notes on their own content and so forth. So that's kind of a nice piece. They may be able to actively read with this content as well. So it's kind of another element to, you know, maybe help your, you know, maybe you could walk through one of these things to, you know, show students somehow to read certain kinds of material. And then they'd be able to use that tool on their own. As they're going through going through with it a little bit more. And then as you can see, like I said, the only one I sort of played with, or yeah, you can see here, I've got some comments that this student spent some, you know, the student spent about 6 minutes average reading time on this. Unfortunately, I've only got the one student here who's got one comment. I could look at those analytics. I can look at, you know, student activity reports. So I can see here that, you know, for excellence, Center for Excellence spent, you know, 6 minutes of active reading on this, made some annotations. So this would be sort of a way to sort of, you know, hey, are the readings outside of class being done and so forth. So kind of a, you know, just a pretty basic tool, and it just took me a few minutes to set up. And you could even limit some of these to, instead of the entire class, you could break into reading groups, or perhaps great way to start a jigsaw where students could do the research outside of class, and then they could bring that content back to class to sort of, you know, talk about their area of expertise and so forth. Any questions or comments or thoughts, concerns? Yes. Go ahead and unmute and ask away. Christina, I saw you.
Okay, oh, great. I was going to say, I don't know if that's me, but I'm going to do it. So this is really intriguing to me. And I know you said you tried to upload a Zoom video and it didn't work, but you
Correct.
said you were able to upload YouTube videos as a link, or how did you upload the
That's
video?
right here. If you see sort of, this is the part where you sort of create your library and you can add content. So if I wanted to create a video, I could just put the video URL in here. And essentially it would add that video file to my library. And then from that library, I can, I can grab that to make it part of an assignment.
Okay, so actually we can do lectures. So I upload my Zoom recorded lectures to YouTube and then send them out to students as links. So I could upload my lectures to YouTube and then get them that way.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's what I did with this. This is right here is a YouTube video. So I added that to my library, this YouTube timestamps, and was able then, when I created the assignment for it, which is here, I created assignment, and you can see here that, oops, I grabbed the wrong one. My apologies there. I was not on the video. Let me go back to, there we go, YouTube timestamps. So there's kind of what the assignment would look like from, for the student's point of view. And then they could, when, as the time scrolls along here, you can click on a point where you'd like to comment and add your comment. And it will mark accordingly.
There's a question from Carrie.
Yeah.
In the chat, how is this video tool better or different than Edpuzzle? And what would be the advantage of using Perusall instead of our LMS?
Okay, so how is it different? It's a little bit different tool in that Edpuzzle sort of essentially is built, I'm just gonna bring up this again so I can see y'all. Edpuzzle essentially is a sort of that recording tool, and you build into the video those questions and so forth, and that sort of, as students answer along, they answer to the questions that you put in, or do the little activities that you put in, or something along those lines, where this is more of a observe and comment tool. They would answer your prompts in the comment box. So it's a little bit more expanded on that. They can hit particular points in the video and say, here is, what sort of this is, I don't understand this point, or I'm having some difficulty. So they can choose in the video where they want to comment back to, as opposed to a pre-built thing. As far as our LMS, our LMS could do some of these things in the same format, but as you can pretty much just sort of load a link to a YouTube video or something like that. So you have these link capabilities here, but you would have to sort of order maybe a separate discussion board or something along those along those ways, if you're going to bring that comment thread into it. Does that make sense? Yep, it does not do text. So it's a little bit more expansive tool to sort of, let students sort of go in different directions. And you could put PDFs, you can put web pages, it'll take snapshots of web pages, links, that sort of thing, as sort of as you look at that library. These are all the different things that you could add in there, even documents from your computer, PDFs, that sort of thing, that students could go to. So it's a little bit more expansive, but yes, Edpuzzle is a cool tool. There's no doubt about it. Any other questions about this? How is this video tool better? Different, yeah, we'll say different. Any other questions about that or whatever? And again, I mean, we're just going right off. We're taking the sheen off the surface. We're making a snow cone with this thing. So again, if this seems something you're interested in, by all means, just it's like, hey, let's play with this a little bit. And I'm happy to kind of set up some tests, because it would, I'd like to see. Sometimes you have to see if it'll fly before all goes well. Next one is Padlet. Okay, I will admit, I like Padlet. And the reason I like Padlet is that I find it to be a pretty versatile tool. And this is the one we're going to play with. And I think this one will also sort of is a pretty kind of interesting tool, I think, that you could sort of bring and do with whatever you want. And essentially what Padlet is a tool, and again, you can use 3 Padlets at once. I'm going to let it load up here. This is a Padlet, okay? So essentially, it's this huge honking canvas that you can create and allow students to put up material, reply to comments, bring a prompt up. They could put up a video project. They could put up a screen capture. And the way I'm using it here is actually in canvas mode, but there are a couple of different ways. You know, you could put it in a thread mode. You could set up individual columns for students to respond in. There are restrictions. So if I just threw a prompt up here, they could only comment. You could put it into a view only type of mode. But as you can see here, I've got pictures loaded in there. I've got drawing tools. I've got photos. I brought in a video link from YouTube, and everybody can work on this in real time. So it's kind of like, it's like a Google page. So this could be something that students could work out, you know, later. They could do out of class, but this, and they could create their own Padlets. Again, they have that sort of 3 free aspect to do. So this is kind of a neat tool. And what, you know, this, I was even thinking about, you know, like, you know, curriculum design for a department. If you put all your courses and you put all your information around these courses and you try to figure out, you know, where they fit, you can see, you can put them together, you can link them together like a concept map or make a flow chart. There's a timeline if you wanted to create timelines in course, that sort of thing. So, and because of those aspects, to, you know, be able to provide that video link, just like we were talking in Perusall though, this might be a place where you could put up, hey, let's put up a video link, and then students could comment or respond to that video right on this page. Again, one of the nice things is here is they can bring in links, they can bring in different ideas, they can bring in pictures, they could bring a counter argument or something along those lines. They can, you know, they can comment on each other's links depending on how much you open this up. You can restrict or limit how much a student can do when they're looking at your Padlet. So let's go back to my dashboard here, and let's do this. I am going to make a Padlet, and like I said, here's those different types of things. Again, the stream's going to sort of come in as a stream. There's a map where you can put places on, you know, back channel. This could be something you could set up just for questions that come into Zoom, come into class. Outside the, you know, but you have the chat window if you're in the Zoom meeting, but it might be a back channel that you set up for students who want to ask a question, don't want to necessarily raise their hand. A wall is a little bit more brick type of concept, but we're gonna start with a canvas. You have, you know, they're kind of hip and fun. So, you know, the pre-built descriptions and so forth are all there. You've got a plethora of gradients and, you know, textures and patterns and this sort of thing. You can even upload your own pictures. Let's see, we'll go with orange today. Why not? I don't know if I like the green at top, but we'll move on. Again, just, you know, color schemes, how you can look in it. Here, nice tool. This will display the author, and again, this will be one of the things where I would have my students sort of sign in and create. When they come into this, you know, they can sign up for a free account as well, and allow people to comment to post. If you're worried, you know, this would hopefully in college we wouldn't have to worry, but you could also monitor this and so require an approval before students were able to post their thing. I'm not sure how efficient the profanity filter is, but you know, I don't know. I haven't played with that yet because you never know who's watching. So once you sort of create this, you're pretty much start ready to post. Now, what I'm going to do is see visitors can write. I am going to change these privacy settings and make it possible so you can essentially write, post, put all there. If I gave you, let's go full editing rates. What the heck? This way you'd be able to delete and modify and break it however you want. So we'll do that. Keep working. Dun, dun, dun. Let me get this out of my way. Can edit. And we're going to save that and go back. And now I'm going to copy the link to the clipboard, go into this lovely Zoom meeting, paste it, and click on that. And let's see what happens. Move this out of our way again, and hopefully you'll all start popping into the board here. Yeah, there we go. And you can see it right now, you're coming in as anonymous, and that's because you're not signed up for a Padlet. You probably can see in there, you could sign in or create, I think it's a, you know, create a new account. There it is. And if you look down here, this little plus sign, and all these you can add, you can grab stuff from the web, you can put up a link, you can upload something from your computer, you can take a picture. So you start the camera and let's see, and take a picture. And I set up a separate camera. So there it is. Because right now, I'm sure in Zoom, it's fighting. So if you give it permission, it might take your camera away from Zoom. There it is. Thinking about Padlet, there it is. See how fun this is? And if you want to, let's see, where is it? Transfer, edit, post. You could bring in that edit. You could move. You can stack these things. Connect to a post. So now I can connect this idea to another idea. So kind of fun here. Lots of availability to do things. Yeah, I know. See, and so way I was thinking about using this is when we, you know, another one we're going to look at today is sort of like Flipgrid. But you could actually allow students to, you know, expand here. You can see all these different, they could record on the screen. You could give voice feedback. So if you wanted to change up how a discussion board is done, they could respond with voice. They can grab some film from their video, you know, Google Images, all those things. Let's see, I'm going to update this. Let's see everyone who's coming in here. So you can kind of see where with just a little bit of imagination, oops, someone just popped into the meeting. With a little imagination, you could sort of see how you could use this here, just, you know, kind of looking like this might be a more quick startup than like Perusall, but you could bring the article in here. You could have students connect, you could have them post a link to something that might be relative to the article or to their comment. You can do GIFs, because you know what's a device if it can't do a GIF anymore. So you know, just kind of a fun way to sort of bring that in. Dun, 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 dun. I kind of like this. I see, you know, it has a lot of open for creativity. And like I said, I made it full edit mode, but essentially you could just make it a write mode. So students would just be able to write and post. You can also create it so people can comment or like. I don't know, that might start to add a little social media pressure to a thing or so forth. But it's just kind of one of those ways, I think, to sort of get students to sort of begin to interact with the material a little bit more. That we got in, see what we got happening here. Let's see, oops, didn't need to do that. Update, okay, oh, we got a pumpkin, someone found the draw tool, adding that on there. I think this is where the GIFs are, yeah, so if you want to be like cool, and we can find things that are cool, here we go, we can bring in the cool beans GIF. So, and again, these are all, you know, these are expandable, so you can, you know, you can drag these, make them a little bit bigger. I could comment, you know, on Mark's sense, let's say, you know, this is deep. You know, so you have those comments available. As you can see, it would add that comment to Mark's, to any of these pictures and so forth that are there. So some of your experience kind of playing with this. So I think this is just a really neat tool. I think sort of only limited by, you know, the sort of things that you can bring into it or whatever. Questions, thoughts, comments, ideas about this particular tool? Things that you could sort of bring in. I kind of see it as a fun possibility. And again, as you can see, it was pretty quick to sort of jump in there and start using it. So yes, go ahead, Christina.
I mean, this is an interesting idea, especially for classes that don't really like to participate, which I'm struggling with in a group of students that started as animal behavior majors last semester and are now in their sophomore year as a group. They just are not, they struggle to want to participate in class. And I feel like this, especially because it is anonymous. Like I've tried to use like documents on Google Drive for stuff, but they're attached to their emails. And if this is left as anonymous, I'm thinking it might be useful if we're having a conversation about something and I want them to brainstorm, and even if they chat in their small groups, they don't want to talk as a class, if they can kind of add their thoughts to this anonymously, it might be an interesting way of getting discussion going if they're struggling with, you know, being confident enough to share their idea with the class.
And that's exactly it. You could pop off that attribution if you wanted to, so that, and you know, you can see there it takes away all those even anonymous. So if that was for a particular particular group, you could remove that attribution, and then no one would know who was posting what.
And how did you just do that?
It's in settings. Everyone can still see my screen. Right here in settings, that attribution, that shuts off that attribution. So then everything becomes anonymous. That way, if they signed up for a Padlet for another course or another thing, otherwise that attribution would come in. Here they could kind of, you know, this would take that heat off altogether. They wouldn't have to worry being signed into this or not, because this might be, you know, this might be a great way for students if they were creating video projects or screen shares, or, you know, were showing how they did their work on a particular application. They could post it here. Students could review each other's video and comment. So,
Carl, can I ask a question? Do you think this could be used if you were doing a Zoom presentation with a large audience? Is it the kind of thing that could be pulled up and have people sort of respond or comment on the spot in that kind of format?
I would think so. Essentially, I'm sharing it here on my screen, so I think, yes, people could do that. But they would also see, the cool thing is everybody's going to see this anyway. So right. Even if you weren't, you know, even if I wasn't sharing this screen with everyone would sort of be seeing it, because again, it's all those updates are being made live. But yes, with this
but I like the interactivity component of it. So if you were
Mm-hmm.
doing something and you wanted participants to participate in an anonymous way in particular,
right.
Then they could, just giving them that link would be able to jump right in. It's a lot more interesting than chat.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of fun, and they get to bring in, you know, because one of the first places I saw this was at a conference, and it was like, ooh, you know, and everyone was kind of giddy with like putting in the pictures and drawing the pumpkins or whatever. So it did kind of, you know, it does tap that little, you know, inner kid a little bit because of the, you know, the variety of tools that you have at your disposal to sort of create and get creative. But yeah.
It's great, thank you.
Yeah, by all means. This, and like I said, just like we're doing in the Zoom meeting here, I'm just sharing my screen, and it brings this right up.
A lot of people ask about organizing breakout rooms and checking on what breakout rooms are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be another great way to use Padlet. Like you could set up either sections of a single Padlet or different Padlets for the different breakout rooms. And then students could be creating their comments on that Padlet. So you could be watching the Padlet to see what they're doing instead of jumping from, you know, breakout room to breakout room to breakout room.
Right. You could put 4 prompts around that canvas, and students could work in one area of that canvas. As far as I know, it goes on pretty endless. And I tried to upload a ton of, like I uploaded a bunch of videos and GIFs and everything to see if I could actually break its limit, and it did a pretty good job. It took me a lot of little video clips and so forth to sort of try to jam it up, but I was unable to jam it up. I think it's 10 megabytes or something, but it takes a while to reach that in Padlet. So you're right. This is, again, I think it would be just kind of fun, and is, you know, once depending on how big that tool gets, you've got the ability to, you know, you can see, there we go. You've got these bars that just keep expanding as you expand this canvas. So it goes, and again, if you have the editing tools, you can re-edit, or you can delete things, and all that sort of thing too. So for students, you might want to keep it a little less wide open so that they can write, but they can't necessarily delete other posts and so forth. There we go. Other questions, thoughts, concerns, all that good stuff. All right. So yeah, I can see the isn't it exciting? You're like, oh, wait, let's see what I can do with that. Cool. All right. Next, this is a slightly different tool. It is called it's Hypothes.is, and essentially it's actually a simple tool, and there's 2 important things that sort of have to work together. A Chrome extension. For those, you know, who aren't familiar with Chrome extensions, those are available in like the web store, and I did like here, and this would be the extension tool that you'd need. It's that you'd want to bring in. This works in a Chrome browser. I haven't messed with it in any other browser. And essentially, you end up sort of opening a chat window on pretty much any page on the internet. So I can, you know, here I sort of created one. I'm going to just visit here, and it's going to open up my little tutorial.
IXL is helping 10 million students succeed in math and language arts.
Expressed a racist idea.
And I essentially have brought this, you know, this video, created this link, shared it with my students because I created a group for them to view this. I'm going to open up this page here, and here is where students can start to add annotations, comment on other person's annotations. And essentially, with this Chrome add-on, no matter what page you were opening up, you could sort of instantly sort of create these annotations. You can see here I've set it up in this group, and students could sort of chime in here based on, you know, sharing that link and so forth with them as they go. So, you know, I'm going to share this annotations with my CETL U&E class. I could copy that link, share it with my students, and they would be able to then annotate where this video is. And I'll show you if we go to sort of uni.edu here. And return. There we go. And let me get fired up there. And then I'm just going to fire up that Hypothes, and you can see right there come the tools. So now, I can have that annotations and so forth, add a comment, great new website, and post a CWNE. And, again, as this link was shared with students or whatever, they would be able to add comments and so forth here. And so we can see here where that group is created. There's my CWNE group. And if I wanted to invite new members to that group, I would just share this link. So I could make this a class, I could make this whatever, and share these. So it's a great way to sort of, hey, did they go look at that web page? Yeah, they did, because they had the comment on it. So they, and you would be able to see these comments in this page here and so forth. And again, same idea when they when we look at this in context. Let this fire up here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, there we go. That comment's gonna be, you can see here, I had to highlight before I commented. So you'll see some of these highlights. And again, the cool thing about this, it's sort of like this magic window that sits over top of the web browser. So it doesn't actually interfere with the web browser in any way. And there are a few pages where you can't possibly, you might not be able to possibly bring it in. And I would have to, how it would work with like some of the library tie-ins and that sort of thing. But another sort of great tool to sort of send people to, it's right here in the moment. As they read, they could again, just bring that comment in and, sort of, as you can see here, there's the highlight piece I highlighted, and then I would make, a comment related to that, and I would be able to see that back at my, back at my Hypothesis account page. So kind of a neat tool that you can, again, and by creating those groups, it's not open up to the whole public, but I would just create that group for my class and then invite my class in there, and then be able to see here, you can see all the annotations that I've sort of set up for that group are here. There's the one we just created today right there at the top. So kind of another neat little tool that sort of, brings in another way to sort of engage students with the material.
I have questions, Carl.
Yeah, ask away.
Can I only do this for websites, or like, could I do, like, I was thinking about using this to do a journal club on primary literature and have like one group of students responsible for reading the article and commenting on areas that they might not understand, and then the other team would be responsible for sort of answering the first team's questions, and then like the next week they'd flip roles. So they could,
unless you ran into some, maybe access with a journal might be more than that, but perhaps I think you could, again, because the journal is going to be, it's going to be a web-based journal for the most part, correct?
Yeah, so I guess that's my, like, if I have PDFs, so let's say I download a PDF article, would I have to upload the PDF to like a Google Drive in order for them to be able to?
Go ahead, Mark, fire away.
So I'm just curious, why wouldn't you use Perusall? Because that seemed like it was ideally suited to what you're talking about.
Well, kind of as I was watching Perusall, I was thinking, this might also do the same thing I wanted to do with Hypothesis. I don't know what the benefit would be one over the other. So Perusall is any item, and then they can mark that item up right throughout it.
That's correct. They could read and comment. They could also take they have that section for their own notes if they wanted to, separate from comments.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be, I would have to just check it out with that, because this is sort of designed, that was this thing that sort of sits over the web. Now, if they could get that link to the PDF on the web, it would probably work there.
Okay.
If you were able to get the link to the article, that sort of thing, you could probably set it up to work there. But
Okay.
yeah, Perusall would allow you to load up that PDF, and then you could bring those comments in like that. So, but again, if you were using this for a lot of different things, including the website, perhaps we could play with some of those journal pages and see if we can get that to fly.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm trying to think in that Hypothesis main page, it talked annotate the web with anyone. Yeah, I think it's more towards, yeah, I think it's more towards a web-based platform than, so that PDF, probably if you could find it on the web, or maybe if you could upload it to as a Google page or a Google link.
That's what I was wondering, was like a Google Doc or something.
What's that?
Yeah, that's sort of where I was thinking, was like a Google Doc. I feel like I saw something on a listserv about somebody using this for journal articles, and that's what gave me the idea, but Perusall looks like a better option once I saw that. So
it might, yeah, it's a little bit, again, a little bit, you know, this is real quick and simple. Perusall's a little bit heavier tool. And again, that's why I was kind of showing both aspects of this. So it's like, yeah, which one's going to better serve? You know, again, it might be easier to see how students are responding and follow that a little bit more. This one's a little bit more wide open, you know,
right.
As a tool where that Perusall could be, you know, honed in a little bit as we're going in. Any other questions about Hypothesis here? Any others before we go to Flipgrid? Okay, now this is Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a pretty basic tool, and that's when I started playing with Padlet. I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, just bringing up those video feedbacks into Padlet and limiting number of tools and so forth might be the way to go. And essentially here, what one does is create a discussion board. Essentially, this is like a video discussion board where you can attach media and then, you know, give a prompt, and then students are able to respond back with some sort of video, what you can do. But I tied in an article, I tied in a web link. Students could read this web link, go back to the Padlet, and then give a response. And essentially, you'll share this join code with them, and you know, they would see it as a student's gonna see it. You can regulate this so you get to watch the videos before they go up, but then you know, you can see what a student would just be like, okay, here's my response to the question. I think that's it's a really good thing. Just be like, okay, here's my response. I'll stop that and move back. But so it's pretty much, you sort of set up this place for students to respond, and instead of their discussion board becomes much more of a you know, a video discussion board, as opposed to, you know, like a simple discussion board in Blackboard. So it's a little bit more basic tool. That's where kind of that Padlet, they could do different things. They, you know, there was one thing I'd watched. It was like, hey, if you wanted to interview family members or bring in family, you know, interviews, they could be posted on the Padlet or something along this line. This, I think, will work with a cell phone, no problem, or the computer camera. So, you know, that it does give it a little bit mobility factor. There is the ability to add, you know, the same thing. You can add some, what do they call them? You know, like the glasses and the things, those attributes, the social media attributes that may exist. But again, I think even some of those might even live a little bit in Padlet. So it's a little bit, you know, there's some good stuff in it too, but again, it's not quite as versatile as Padlet is. But there's a, you know, kind of another neat way to for students to sort of comment and get involved in. And again, you know, if you're just looking at that feedback in one particular area, it will really help with that as well. So that's Flipgrid. Let's see, any more questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, ideas, brainstorms? I'll ask that question and wait. That's the important thing.
I just had a quick question. You mentioned when you first started that some of these will interface with the eventual new LMS. Are you able to share which ones might?
I think, some like Perusall does have an LMS integration, and you can actually start to work in grading elements and that sort of thing. So there's some grading algorithms that can be worked into that when you get more than groups of 15. So it'd be one of those things. So that might be one. I'm also going to wait and see what that bundle of tools is that I don't think Padlet ties into the LMS as I would have to do a little bit of research, but Perusall was the big one that I remember actually seeing that LMS integration more than the other ones. And there is going to be, I'm almost positive, there is a video feedback tool built into Brightspace. So the Flipgrid aspect will definitely roll into Brightspace. So that one will sort of fall into there pretty easy peasy lemon squeezy kind of thing. There's also some even some Zoom tools type things built into that as well. So you know, so it's kind of fun. Yes, there's all kinds of cool tools. Wait till you see it. It's all shiny and new. Other questions? Wow, did it. Holy cow. I could have added a whole nother tool. What the heck? Yeah, I mean, and also, well, you know, while I got a couple here, check some of the new features that they built into Zoom. I'm still screen sharing, right? Breakout rooms now have the ability to let participants choose a room, that sort of thing. So that's kind of a cool piece of that's sort of been built into there. You know, polling, you can make groups of polling and bring them in anytime. Used to be just sort of at the beginning of the meeting. Now it's pretty much anytime during the meeting. They're adding a lot of flexibility as far as waiting rooms and that sort of thing. So kind of keep checking out some of those settings and so forth as they come in. But those are, I don't know, I think there's some more reaction emoticons, I don't know, as that goes and all those good things. So, and that one where I did the beginning, that's a Zoom thing with the little talking head in the corner of the PowerPoint. That's in the share screen here in the advanced side, right there. Slides is virtual background. So what it will do when you click on that, it will ask you to find your PowerPoint to bring into and then sort of put behind you. So I think it does turn everything to a JPEG. So a lot of those points in and that sort of thing, I don't know how to prepare those points. So that will be an adventure as we go through that. There it is. Any other thoughts, concerns, earth-shattering ideas for a Tuesday afternoon at 4:25?
Can you put a Flipgrid in a Padlet and then use Hypothesis to comment?
Not without seriously endangering the balance of the space-time continuum.
In Zoom.
Yeah, but it requires, you have to be the doctor. I think he's the only one that can pull it off. So, other than that. And again, you can see just sharing the screen, a lot of these tools can be brought into Zoom as well as you talk about them. Again, they will fight, Padlet will fight for the camera. So that would be the one thing to sort of think about. And like I said, if you want to experiment with one of these, bring it into a course, but let me know, because that would be, you know, again, all those I learn as much as y'all will. So that's kind of a good thing to play with if I can help in any way with that.